Kevin Roth here of RotoGrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that RotoGrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on RotoGrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels, and we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your RotoGrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @RotoGrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
Good morning, grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender Ed, Blender HD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday. We got into the end of the week. Friday, April 15th. It's a tax day. I think April 18th. They've changed it. Usually always April 15th. It's time to pay your taxes. I think it's the 18th. I filed for extension, so I don't have to file until October, but you still have to pay. You still have to pay the estimated whatever. So I paid all that already. So it's tax day. Tax day. Let's make our money back from the taxes. Whenever I pay taxes playing DFS, like it's a good thing. It's you make it sound like it's a bad thing. If you're getting a 1099 from Draftkings, Fanduel, wherever, that's a good thing. But here in the United States, you're gonna pay income tax. Right, so it always sucks when it's like I had a really great DFS year, and then you look at your tax bill, how much you owe in taxes, and it's like the government is going and they're just taking a GPP just away from you. They're just like, that GPP you won for 50,000, we want it. No, it's not. That's our win, right? Should I buy jerseys? I just got yesterday the Cole Anthony jersey. Yesterday that I always buy any GPP. Large field. It has to be large field that I win 30K or more, winning first place. I buy the jersey of the lowest owned player in the lineup, and that was Cole Anthony a couple of weeks back. About 4 weeks back in NBA, 3 weeks I think on FanDuel, and so I bought the Cole Anthony jersey that came in yesterday. But it's like the government just said, you know what that happened? That we're taking that, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And we actually have, if you want to learn about your taxes, if you're this late, right, you got 3 days to file or something, or you could always file an extension. pro tips on DFS and sports betting taxes video with dfsaccounting.com, which we here at RotoGrinders, some of our people here use dfsaccounting.com. It's a video on the YouTube channel and stuff in the forum. If you go to the website, you'll see stuff about that. So if you need advice, if you need help, if you're making a lot of money in DFS and you need some tax advice, go to dfsaccounting.com. But yeah, so tax day, we got to win our money back from the IRS. Looking through the YouTube chat, give me those thummy thumbs as usual in the morning. Thummy thumbs. Everyone likes the thummy thumbs. Like and subscribe, whatever you want to call it. Suki Singh has got to start beating out infamous Tuck in real life pitches. Coming much later, right? He says my first year in MLB on DK. Okay, look, you played about 6 slates. Okay, I will start winning as soon as my pitcher starts doing their job. But welcome to MLB DFS. Welcome, especially if you're playing a Draftkings because you played 2 of them, right? So now it's like, okay, 2 people that they seem to like. Why wouldn't they have a good game? And then all of a sudden they get shelled for 10 runs. Welcome to MLB DFS. That's the way it is. You'll always be in a situation, like 90% of the time, you'll be in a situation where it's like I really nailed the batters. I got the right stacks. I played 20 lineups or whatever. I got the right stacks, didn't get the right pitchers, right? And then the other half of the time, it'll be like, really nailed the pitchers, but some weird stack goes off that you have none of. It's like, didn't get the stacks right. That's what it's always going to be. Or you get the stacks right, but you don't have you don't have Manny Machado, right? You played like I did yesterday. I played a lot of Texas yesterday and didn't play any Padres. So Manny Machado's if you Texas plus San Diego plus Musgrove plus Severino, I guess, or Gausman would have gotten you in the nuts pretty much. And I didn't have the San Diego part of it, right? That's pretty much it. If you don't have one little part of it, you're done, right? So when Machado hit that home run, going 5 for 5, yeah, my chances were small. I didn't play much of the Coors game, the Rockies Cubs game, and my goal yesterday was to the 3 on shorter slates like that 6-game slates. I played 50 lineups yesterday. And I basically just like, okay, I'm playing the Dodgers over the Cubs and the Rockies. And I'm going to stack I'm going to play batters against Musgrove and against Ohtani and against Buehler. The highest owned pitchers. 46% for Buehler, 43% for Ohtani, 32% for Musgrove. Do I consider any of these guys like aces? No. It's a 6-game slate. So I played some Texas. I played some Atlanta. That didn't work out. Played some Cincinnati, right? And then in the other lineups that if I was stacking Atlanta, I may have Ohtani in that one on DraftKings, playing 2 pitchers, right? So I'm playing both sides. Like I want one of these guys to do really good and one of these guys to do really bad, right? And that's what ended up happening pretty much, right? Musgrove did great and Ohtani got shelled. Didn't really get shelled. I mean, basically Jonah Heim showed up for whatever reason, 9th hitter. And I had a bunch of them. I'd have been 7 out of my 50 lineups. He ended up in my Ranger stacks. I didn't make money. Didn't matter. Because I mean, if I wasn't playing in those lineups, Buehler, Ohtani, and Musgrove, then who was I playing? Well, I had a lot of Charlie Morton, right? That didn't work out. But I still had Severino. I had Severino in half my lineups. He was the top projected play in the bat. Very efficient, 82 pitches. Ended up getting the win, 24 points for 7,400. Musgrove did better, but Musgrove plus Severino. And I guess, what was Gausman? Gausman was like 10% owned. I hate that I can't sort by position. Yeah, 23 points, 10% owned. Okay. You could have used him, but he was more expensive, 8,500. Right? That type of thing. And then you needed Texas and then no other one-offs that you needed from anywhere else. I mean, you could have had like Trout or Will Smith or, something. Al Mondesi, I guess shortstop people scored more. Corey Seager scored 23. Schwindel scored 21. Yeah, you could have gotten there with some one-offs. Not much happened in the outfield position, though, yesterday. Really. And we had 3 catchers that scored over 20 points or something, but like barely any outfielders. Did any outfielders score 20 points? Any of them? So I was noticing, I looked up a lot of my lineups that had like Seager and Heim and Nathaniel Lowe and good lineups. And like my outfield was like 3 points here, 11 points, like Willie Calhoun, 11 points, who got pinch hit for by Solak. And then like 3 points for Connor Joe. And like, I'm looking, I'm still in like 102nd place out of however many, 15,000 or something. So I'm like, oh, no one did very well in the outfield. That was me yesterday. I still lost money. That's the way it is at MLB DFS. You have to get it perfect. You're just going to bleed money until you get it perfect. And then you're hoping that even though you're losing 90% of the time, that the 10% of the time that you do win, you win a lot of money. That's just the name of the game. You get your pitcher right, you get your batters wrong. You get your batters right, you get your pitchers wrong. You get everything right, and the game gets rain delayed, and that's it. Out of the blue. Something like that. Directional bias. I called him yesterday Direction Albius. Yesterday, it turns out I believe it's directional bias. That would probably was very funny to him or her or whoever. As a Direction Albius. It's like thinking that someone's name is Albius or something. Direction Albius. Okay, no, directional bias. That makes more sense. Projections are funny for high variance sports. I tend to just look at them grading as a curve. Correct. People treat the medians way too way too much like basketball. Like, oh, that's that, or they just consider that whatever that middle number is, that's the prediction of what's gonna happen. Right? High variance sports like baseball, like just like what I say about MMA. Like we take a look at MMA projections. You'll see a fighter that is his median projection is 68. And it's a heavyweight fight, right? It's a heavyweight fight with inside the distance lines of like plus 120 or something. The fight doesn't go to the distance like 80% of the time. It doesn't even make it to the decision. And the 2 fighters, one is projected for 68 and one is projected for 53, right? As a median projection. Like these guys don't score those points. Like you will not see either fighter score anywhere between 50 and 70 points. Like it's so very infrequent of the time. One guy's going to score like 70 to 120, and the other guy's going to score like 10 or maybe even less. And that's the range of outcomes. Maybe 3% of the time, it goes to a decision in a slow, sloppy fight, and the winner is 63 and the loser has 20 or something. That's like 3%. But most of the time, you're not just, yes, that's the middle number between all those outcomes, but it's more bimodal than anything. Right. So if you took, it's not a normal distribution. Right. 68 as a median is not the number like I'll show you. Right. We go normal distribution. I mean, this is important. Let's say bimodal. I've showed this stuff before. But right. So like a normal distribution is what we think of when we think of projections. We take a look here. Right. And I bring this out. Right. So if we take a look here, what we think of as a median projection, we look at right in the middle, right? Where, this is the one standard deviation up, one standard deviation down, right? We see here. This is the 68, 95, 90, 99 rule, which I talked about in the theory of DFS course. So this is what we think normally about sports with their projections in a normal distribution. NBA fits more of this type of distribution, where if someone's projected for 40 points, it's 40 in the middle, and then like here's 35, here's 45, and it goes like that. And most of the results are somewhere within one standard deviation of that median. So if the median is 40, like, yeah, they'll score somewhere between 25 and 55, like in this 68% zone. That's a normal distribution. A bimodal distribution, on the other hand, is where there's like bumps like this. Let's bring this. Right? So even though from a median perspective, here's the median right here, right in that little gap. So the median, like in that example of 4, let's say the median was 40. And I'm getting an email thing that I can't get rid of. Oh, there we go. 40. Like if this is 40 and this is 25 and this is 55, like there aren't that many results that are outcomes that are around 40. It's actually more towards either 25 or 55. So this would be a bimodal distribution. The two ways you should think about projections. Now, no player fits this exactly. It fit either of these exactly. It's just which way do you mentally think about what a projection means? In MMA, in golf, and in baseball, think more bimodally. In NBA and NFL to some extent. NFL is not as normal as NBA, but it's not necessarily bimodal as much. Think more like this. Soccer is another more of a bimodal type of sport, right? You play soccer, you look at our soccer projections, you'll probably see a Cristiano Ronaldo for tomorrow's slate maybe a 17-point projection or something like that. Probably good for 8,900 on tomorrow's DK slate. But he either scores or he doesn't score. Now he's minus 210 to score anytime tomorrow, so most likely he scores 1, right? More than 60% of the time. But he doesn't do anything else much. He doesn't accrue many points on the pitch other than goals and shots when he touches the ball, because he's a center forward. So if he doesn't score, it's not like he really could get 12 points. Otherwise, he's going to be sitting there with 5 points. And if he could score 4 goals and end up with 48 points. So his range of outcomes looks more like this, that he doesn't hit the median as often as more above and below. We see that in baseball with guys that look at Joey Gallo. There's a good example. Joey Gallo, basically, he either walks, he either strikes out, or he hits a home run. So if you take a look and you go, like, there's tons of outcomes that are 0s, 3s, 5s here. And there are tons of outcomes that are 14s, 16s, 20s, or more here. But the median of both of this is like 8. Joey Gallo rarely scores 8 points, right? It's not like he's just slap hitting and getting on base and scoring runs or whatever. He typically is striking out or hitting a home run. So even though the median projection, that looks good. And then you get frustrated when he goes 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. You go, he got a 0. That's nowhere near the projection. Yeah, that's within the range of outcomes based on his distribution. So that's why a lot of people, one of the edges in DFS is taking advantage of median projections. Not everyone's median projection means the same thing. And people overvalue things. Like, I had a ton of the Yankees yesterday. But I know the Yankees are a high variance team. I want to play the Yankees, that type of team. A lot of power hitters that could also strike out a ton. Right? So they could put up a ton of runs, or they could get, look at what Gausman did yesterday. I typically want to play those types of teams when they're low owned. And when they're high owned, I'm more likely to not play them because they're a high variance team. You want to play high variance teams in GPP. They offer higher ceilings, right? They have lower lows, right? I'd much rather play the Yankees at low ownership than some weak hit the Diamondbacks, right? The Diamondbacks would not be a high variance team. The A's, they're bad teams that every once in a while they'll put up a ton of runs, but most of the time they won't. It's not like their lineup is like murderer's row or anything. So on a larger slate, given the choice between like a team like the Yankees or the Phillies or the Braves or the Dodgers, most likely you're not going to get the Dodgers that low owned. Like those are teams that are going to be higher variance, and you want to embrace the variance. So when they're low owned, when they go off, you will win a lot of money, and when they don't, you just lose, and that's it. Welcome to MLB DFS. That's primarily because of these types of distributions. A lot of people treat baseball projections like this normal distribution when it really you should be treating it like a bimodal distribution. More. There's so many different types of distributions, but for DFS purposes, I would consider these to think for in a non-mathematical sense, because I don't want to throw out math stuff for people that having to do formulas and study and everything, but just mentally. You just thought in these terms of these two different types of distributions. When you look at projections, you'll understand much better. That's why, like in MMA, people ask me, how much projection do you sacrifice for ownership? It's like, dude, this is a binary sport. Either the guy wins, the guy loses. And if the guy wins, how often do they put up a lot of points? Then other than that, I really don't care what the median projection is. Because there'll be some fighters that have good median projections that have much lower inside the distance lines. And it's like, because they're a minus 400 favorite, and the most likely they wouldn't be a decision and score 78 points for 9,200. It's like, how often do they score 110? Not that often. But in this middle zone, they got a lot of 75 to 85s. And that probably ain't gonna cut it on a 14-fight card for like 9,200. Right. So even though the projection of 78 is very similar to the $9,100 guys, 78-point projection. Well, his 78-point projection, maybe he doesn't even score 78 points often enough. It's like, this is the type of guy that either crushes you in the first round, his inside the distance prop is minus 120. But he's not as much of a favorite. And he's more likely to like either knocks you out in the first round or gasses out and gets killed. Right? Same median projection, two different types of fighters. One has a higher ceiling, the one that has the first round upside. Second, the other guy, more likely to hit 78, but not as likely to get you 110. So that would be the difference of projections. So it's a little refresher lesson to some people that may not fit this. Okay, go through the YouTube chat some more. Shannon Lambert said, wonder if Dean played any Jonah Heim yesterday. Yeah, I know. I saw him on Twitter. He said he used him as an example like 3 times yesterday, ended up the second highest score in DK. Right, Dean yesterday on Grinders Live. I saw him tweet. I didn't listen to Grinders Live. I listened to Crunch Time. He said that in baseball, anything could happen, right? Any batter on the slate could be the highest scorer. Everyone's floor is 0 as a batter, and anyone could be the highest scorer, even Jonah Heim. That's what he said. I think he said that 3 times, right? And then Jonah Heim hits a grand slam. Right, he was 2%. He was 1.84% owned, Jonah Heim. I mean, if we take a look at this Texas ownership yesterday, it was great. Look at this. On a 6-game slate, 8% for Seager because he's shortstop and it's a weaker position, right? I mean, look at this. Heim, Willie Calhoun, Cole Calhoun, Nate Lowe, 2.5%. Now, Garver and Heim are at the same position. That's why Garver was more owned than Heim. I mean, at this ownership, playing against a 43% owned pitcher, why aren't I doing that? But you could say the same for Atlanta. But Atlanta was a little bit higher owned because of the positionals, right? So Olsen, Ozuna, Darno, Riley, Albies, a little bit higher. But similar type of concept. Musgrove, high owned pitcher on a 6-game slate. The opportunity cost is lower. Tonight we have a 11-game slate. So you have a lot more teams to choose from. So on an 11-game slate, maybe your first instinct isn't to stack against Ohtani. Because you get 5 more games on the slate to choose from. And Ohtani probably doesn't end up being 43% owned. Ends up being 30% owned. The ownership for the pitcher starts getting spread out a little bit more. So you get less and less leverage opportunities. But on a 6-game slate, sure. I mean, take a look at Cincinnati. It was Cincinnati. Look at Cincinnati's ownership. I think out of my 50 liners, I had 3 or 4 Cincinnati stacks, right? Look, Aquino hit a home run at 0.6% ownership. Look at this ownership. On a 6-game slate, this is under-owned. Do the Reds Are the Reds the winning stack? Very often? No, not at all. Maybe 3% of the time, 4% of the time on a 6-game slate. But all the ownership is under that. Does it mean you play 50 of those lineups? No, of course not. I mean, you could. Hey, you could if you don't mind, losing a lot on the way to winning a lot. Because the Reds became the top stack and you had 50 of them. Probably you come in first, second, eighth, fourth. I mean, you win all the money of all the spots. But that was my strategy yesterday of like playing the Yankees, right? Single digit ownership. There was, that it was a late start. People were scared. But if you listen to Roth told you there was nothing to be scared about. He sung you a lullaby. Said, don't worry about the Yankees, right? Don't worry about them. Said if they're going to do a late start and within an hour or so, it'll be clear. The game will be in. Don't worry about it. And then that's why I played. I just played a ton, figuring that the ownership would be twice as less than it should be. And that's what I believe it was. And then Gausman just mowed them down. So didn't matter either way. I could only judge it by the ownership. If the ownership was twice as much as this, I would have been like, oops, oops. So it has nothing to do with the results. I just look at this and go, Judge should have been 24% on yesterday's slate, and he was 13.9. Doesn't matter what he did. I win. I win the Sklansky box. Okay. Let's see. Where are we going? We're going. Devin's in the chat saying that he had KC everywhere. KC wasn't doing that bad. They were stealing bases and stuff. Merrifield and Mondesi. Dozier had a good game. Just you didn't really need. I mean, the stack didn't come through, right? Right, because Perez had 0. He was 20% owned. Right, Bobby Witt 8, 10. I mean, Benintendi, like they were overowned. The Royals were overowned yesterday, but they still scored. And I mean, you could have had one of these people in a winning lineup. The stack didn't get there. DJ Dog 3K, are you hopping into USFL this weekend? No, I'm not. I'm hopping into soccer and MMA. If you want to play Premier League soccer or MMA tomorrow, that's what I'm hopping into. Masher says the bat gives percentiles for players that help us account these skewed distributions. Yes. You could, if you have the bat, you could go into the percentile projections and say, oh, some is higher than others. Or, I mean, you could eyeball this. I mean, you could tell just by looking at the ceilings. And or just knowing baseball, just knowing you look at Joey Gallo, you look Rougned Odor, you look at those guys, Hunter Renfroe, very high strikeout guys that have power. Those are typically the guys. And then you look at Nicky Lopez or something like that, right? Nicky Lopez or D. Strange Gordon. Like these guys have like the lifetime of like 5 home runs total. So most likely their distribution is going to not be as bimodal. So if they have a decent projection, it's like, well, maybe what's their upside? Real Life Pitcher says I would be the best stats teacher. No, I wouldn't be. Because if I had to teach an actual stats class, I would have to actually know stats. I know as much about statistics as I need to know for DFS. That's about it. And poker, right? I learn as much as I need to know. Do I need to know anything past all the stuff that I'm talking about? Probably not. Sean V says, I love this MMA card in DK. Yeah, I don't know. See, the problem with showing the MMA stuff, which I have sort of up, I didn't update odds or whatever, is that they added this Lizez Lusa fight. And that's going to and ownership's going to change. Like no sites are updated yet as far as like ownership differences and stuff, because we have another $8,800, $7,400 fight, making it a 14 fight card. So I have no idea. So like I've not accounted for what I'm going to be doing tomorrow in MMA whatsoever. So I have no idea. There's nothing to talk about. If they would have added this fight, I think that this fight got added to the card like two or 3 days ago. But DK just added it like yesterday afternoon, late afternoon or something. If it was if they added it on Tuesday, our RotoGrinders ownership and projection would have accounted for it. Because if I mean, I could go right now to our MMA lineup HQ, and I mean, before the show, I saw that ownership was not updated. It still says 0 for those two fighters. So everything else is like just thrown off whack. Right here, yeah, right. Lazez, 0, right? Like, so what do I know? I don't know. I don't know anything, right? I need ownership. I also need to update some of the odd stuff. So I have no idea. There's nothing to tell you about MMA. Listen to the ground and pound. If you're a premium RotoGrinder subscriber, we got MMA. I mean, I'm showing you the MMA projections. We got the ground and pound podcast. We got the expert survey. We got stuff for you. For the combo premium people, click on the link in the description. I think you get $10 off your first month. Let's see what else. What else we got? There's gonna be a short show today. I got stuff to do after this. I got like multiple shows. I'll be on Grinders Live later, right? To talk about the 11-game slate. So I'll be on with Dean and TJ. Oh, let's see. They're talking amongst themselves. Ryan C 1809 on a general slate. How much randomness do you apply to the hitters versus the pitchers? You don't have to apply any randomness. The only reason to apply randomness is if you want more diversification in your lineups. There's no magic settings. I'm going to constantly repeat this. There's literally no magic settings. Build one lineup. Build one lineup by hand without lineup HQ. Don't even look at it. Just build one lineup by hand. Now build a second lineup by hand. That are good, that you would consider to be, these are good lineups that I want to play in whatever size contest or whatever you play. Now build a third lineup. Now build a fourth, then build 20 of them by hand. Build 50 of them by hand. Build 150 of them by hand. Now, after you're done doing that, after 2 or 3 hours, you'll be like, yeah, taking 2 or 3 hours to build lineups is just untenable like that, hand building. I wish I had a tool to do this more efficiently. Now that you know what lineups you want to build, now you go to the lineup builder and go, I want you to build these types of lineups for me. Okay. So if you're not going in with what lineups you want to build, then there's no magic settings. People are like, I don't know what to do. Let me just, I'm gonna, what settings do I press and then press the build button for it to spit out good lineups? That is not how these tools work. That's how 95% of people think these tools work, but that's not actually how they work. All it is solving a math problem, a knapsack math problem for you. That's all it does, right? It's a dumb calculator for that. Oh, let's see. Daniel Hutchins says he's still trying to figure out how to apply his music theory knowledge to DFS. You could teach people how to tilt better. So like when they're in the Discord, when Joey Gallo strikes out again, or when Charlie Morton gives up another run, like something like that, like you have to teach people how to sing their tilt or something. It's just something. It has to be some type of music theory. Something, I don't know. I'm really stretching here. Maybe there is no application to music theory. Doug Montgomery asks, where do you look for team ownership in MLB? When do you look? Where do I look on RotoGrinders? And when do I look? I mean, as close to luck as possible. When lineups come in, right? You could go to this page. Let me bring this up. I don't know if it's up for today yet. Because we're still working on, at some point, Slate IQ is going to be ready. Can someone, what's going on? Is this, like, just do NBA? Let's go to MLB. And let's pause that. Okay, where's this page? Yeah, like DraftKings stack leverage, team smash tool. Like I could look at something like this, just like average ownership for the team. Right, this gets updated when our ownership gets updated. So like KCR, 9% total. Average. You would see this in Slate IQ also. So I can see team ownership. Now, this is obviously early slate, main slate, whatever. But I'll look at this once the lineups have to come out. Like looking at this now doesn't mean all that much. I get a sense of who's based on our current projected lineups. This is the projected ownership. But I mean, you have to wait for the official lineups to start coming in. Yes, and a lot of times by the time the 7 o'clock lock comes around, you may not have the Angels lineup from 9:40 or something like that. You might have the Diamondbacks lineup from 10:10, maybe. It may not matter that much. If most of the players in that game are not really much owned anyway, it's not going to affect that much on ownership. But yes, looking at ownership at 11:34 in the morning, it's not like NBA where things could dramatically change. So MLB looking at stuff earlier is, I mean, could look. I will look. Doesn't mean I'll make any choices. I'll be like, okay, who's on the slate? What's going on for 5-10 minutes, and be like, okay, I'll be back at 5. I'll be back later, right? You look in the morning, 11, 12 o'clock, right? I just 10 minutes. Okay, looks like this guy projects well in that guy. Okay, people are going to be on okay. Let's wait for these lineups to come out, right? And then then you sit around for 5 hours. To do what? The projections already work for you already. They're doing all the work. Let's see. Anything else in the YouTube chat? Feel free to post them in before I get out of here. So what do we got on today's slate? Because we got a nice 11-game slate. I like the large slates. Give me these. Give me double-digit games. Give me 10+ games. These to me, truthfully, these slates are easier. On a 6-game slate, I mean, if you didn't have Machado, you're dead. I mean, like there's not as many options. On a slate like, I mean, look, Jonah Heim wasn't even in the winning lineup, and he is 1.8% owned. That is even more dramatic on a larger slate, where you could win in many more ways, and it's more important to win in ways that people don't have. So maybe his Coors game gets over-owned again, and then maybe you play the Blue Jays instead, or the Dodgers, or Houston or Seattle, or the Yankees again, or look, the Angels Texas game has a 10 total. There's a lot of options. Milwaukee 4.6 total. We got a lot more options today. But we'll see ownership condensed in certain places, and then you take advantage of it. Looks like Rodon's going to be chalky. We have this guy, Mackenzie Core, that I've never heard of, for 5K pitching for San Diego. Probably only pitches 70 pitches, I guess. But he's cheap. There's a way, and we could figure it out. Figure out many more different paths to first place, as opposed to 4, 5, 6-game slates. 4, 5, 6-game slates. Now it's more important. Like that's what I was talking about before. Like Rodon may be the chalkiest pitcher on today's slate for San Francisco, right? Does that mean play a ton of the Indians against him, the Guardians, whatever, against him? Well, in a 6-game slate, I would say, okay, 4-game slate, 3-game slate, yeah, okay. How else are you gonna? That's going to be the easiest path to first place. Now, the Guardian stack is going to be the lowest owned stack on the slate. It's going to be low. I mean, they have a very low team total. They're going against the chalkiest pitcher. But also, there's 10 other games to choose from. There's 21 other teams to choose from. You want to get the highest scoring team. Most likely, it's not going to be the Guardians, right? And even if Rodon gets hit, it may not even be the Guardians, right? Rodon gives up 6 runs. The Guardians still aren't the winning stack. And there's 10 other games. So even though you get the most amount of leverage stacking against Rodon, it's still extremely low probability. And you got so many other people. You got so many other teams. If the Guardians are a 1% owned stack, Baltimore may be a 1% owned stack also, right? Detroit may be a 2% owned stack. and it's not even facing Rodon. And you could play Detroit with Rodon. Maybe St. Louis ends up as a 2% owned. So there's so many more stacks that are in the 1-2% range that do you need to play the stack against the chalky, the best pitcher on the slate? No, you don't have to. Can you? Sure. There's so many more options. That's to me, that's the difference in slate size. Let's see. Go through. Real life picture says on RG Live today, can you get Dean to go by stacks rather than position by position? Typically, when he has me on, I was on Grinders Live on Wednesday morning. Typically, when I'm on, Dean always mentions that to talk more of a general overview of the slate. We talk pitchers, then we talk. Typically, what I prefer to do is talk pitchers, then talk like value bats. Like for the people that, if you need a one-off for the rest of your lineup, who projects well, right? Type of thing. So you look at essentially, all you have to do is go to our projections and sort by point per dollar value, right? That's essentially what we do, right? The type of thing where you go sort by point per dollar and go, oh, Bobby Witt's cheap at 2,400, Bellinger 2,800, Tellers at 2,600. And at least for the people that don't have projections, like for a free show like Grinders Live, you're giving them like, oh, okay, here's some nice quality, the value bats stuff. Like you go through that. Like I can understand that. And then you go to stacks. And there you go. You don't really play, you don't play baseball, you don't play MLB DFS by positions. So yes. So hopefully we'll be doing that. How many times do I have to say, what catchers do I like? Whatever catcher fits in my stack. That's it. Oh, let's see. Give those thummy thumbs before I get out of here. I got another show. I'm busy today, people. I'm very busy today. I got to update my MMA stuff. I got soccer stuff to do. I got Grinders Live later today, right? So if you want today's slate type of stuff, I'll be back. I'll be back for you, right? So hit that thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. I'll be back, what, 4:45? I believe 4:45. 4:45 for Grinders Live with Dean, with TJ, and then right after that is Crunch Time, and Crunch Time is free. MLB, it's free. And MLB, this is like the first all year. Every once in a while, we give out little freebies, whatever. But now it's Crunch Time, just one long show, 4:45 until lock, just one long show on YouTube. Me, Dean, and TJ, and then we'll switch over to Crunch Time. You'll get those guys. Hit those thumbs if you haven't already. And yeah, so as I always say, if you're in my contests, I don't want you to win, right? I haven't said that in a while. Most people wish each other good luck. It's like, well, if you're playing on I'm playing on FanDuel today. I'm playing on FanDuel instead of DraftKings today. So if you're playing on DraftKings, good luck to you. If you're playing on DraftKings, I want you to lose, right? But that's essentially what it is. Why would I wish you luck in the contest that I'm playing? If you're playing like the single entry stuff on FanDuel, okay, you could win those. I'm playing the large field stuff. So yeah, I think based on the payout structure, they're both horrible today. But DraftKings is extra horrible because they're trying to do 100K to first. It's 100K, 25, 10, and then you just why bother? DraftKings, at least it's a $5 entry, and it's still 30, 10. It's horrible also. But it's hard at this. If both sites are going to be horrible, I'll play at the cheaper one, and FanDuel is cheaper. So that's what I will be doing today, right? And we got our FanDuel Friday strategy video later. Live lots at 2 p.m. on the Scores and Odds channel. Grinders Live at 4:45 and Crunch Time at 6:20. Right? Why the weird time? 4:45, 6:20. We gotta people remember that type of stuff. I have no idea. Show up around that time. You'll probably hear me probably yelling at Dean that he's probably going to say something like, I don't know if this is the type of slate where you need to stack, right? And the 11-game slate, I don't think I'm going to get that argument, right? When we cover these 5-game slates, at least I understand what Dean is talking about, right? 11-game slate. If he's going to tell me he's going to pull off the good old 1-1-1-1-1-1-1, right? Then you see the top come off, right? So give me those thumbs. Enjoy your Friday. Pay your taxes. And I'll see you back on Monday, answering your DFS strategy questions, as I always do, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.